Hi, everyone. We are here with Dominique, and I am so excited for you guys to hear her story. She bought her first out-of-state investment property. She lives in Texas and bought all the way in Oklahoma. So, Dominique, why don't you share with everyone? I mean, I already know everything, but tell everyone like where you live, what you do for work, if you feel comfortable with that, and where you were at on your investing journey prior to joining Success with Rental Properties.
Okay. So my name is Dominique. I work in marketing and I live in Texas, Dallas, Texas. And so right now I have one rental property. I just closed on it a month ago. And so I am, already thinking about the next one that I'm going to buy, but not trying to rush into anything. But I've definitely got the bug for sure.
So how long before you joined the program were your wheels spinning and thinking, I want to buy real estate? And, what kind of research and stuff had you done prior?
I think about maybe it was, probably about a year ago today. It was in October of last year. I started trying to look at, ways to kind of invest money and what seemed to make the most sense for, what my long-term goals were. And just real estate kept popping up as something to look into. And so I just kind of became obsessed and I started reading every book I could find and listening to every podcast and YouTube video. And, the same story, I think, with a lot of people who get into this. And you just kind of get so immersed into everything there is to know and learn. And after a while, it just starts to seem like there's just so much information out there. And, I think for the first maybe 6 months or so, I just was learning and learning and learning, but it was really hard for me to actually take action because I just had that analysis paralysis thing where you're just too scared to do something wrong that you end up not doing anything at all. So I had the self-awareness to know that that's kind of what was going on. And so when I saw you, think I maybe saw you on Instagram, and I think maybe I reached out to you on Instagram, or I liked your page or something, and then you reached out to me first, actually. And so we kind of started up sort of a little dialogue that way, but I still wasn't really ready to do a program. I was just still kind of like, I don't know if I want to spend the money. Let me just keep doing what I'm doing. And then at a certain point, I think I realized okay, I need guidance. I need help. And so that's when we kind of set up our first call.
What was your favorite part of the coaching program? So I know there was the online course, teach all this stuff. We had our meetings and all that. What do you think benefited you the most?
Definitely the online course was helpful because I could do it at my own pace. I work full time. So, at night was really when I would kind of go in and look at the modules and just kind of take notes and learn in that way. But I think the thing that I benefited from the most were the calls. At the end of every call, you would automatically schedule our next call. So I knew okay, I've got to have something done because next week Casey's gonna be looking at me like I'm crazy if I haven't done what I'm supposed to do. So I think that accountability was a huge thing, because if no one was going to ask me about it, I probably would have put things off. I would have been well, I'll reach out to lenders next week, or I'll, do that. But I think knowing that I've got to bring something to this next meeting really kept me making progress every week. Literally every week I moved the needle on something. And so that was huge for me.
Love it. Oh, thank you. So tell everyone about your first property. What made you choose the market, and give us all the fun numbers and any tidbits you want to share.
Okay. So one of the things that I was struggling with most was picking a market. Okay. I was analyzing city after city after city, and it just was just how do you pick? How do you, and I think, going through the course, you really had a structured way to tell people, these are the things you should look for. These are the things that you should consider. This is how you should kind of narrow down your search. And once you find that, you can find a market that checks off those boxes, narrow down a market and focus only on that. And I feel like once I narrowed down on a specific market, it just got so much easier because I wasn't spinning my wheels. I was drilling down on neighborhoods and drilling down on what I wanted in a property and drilling down on what my criteria was, because I could never figure out what I wanted my criteria to be because I was always looking from city to city to city to city. So I think that really, really helps.
So you got your first property in Tulsa, right? You have a realtor friend out there, so that helped. Tell us about your property that you bought.
Okay, so I picked the city because of, like I said, all of the, the economics of the area, the jobs, population, all that stuff. So once I found a neighborhood that I liked, I engaged my realtor, who I've known for years, and just kind of let her know what I was looking for. And, I just kept looking. I was on Zillow like every day, like literally every day, looking at properties and analyzing them, and just had my little spreadsheet and everything. And I saw this house, and I saw that they had just did like a $10,000 price drop, like maybe the day before. And I'm like, ooh, that's cute. And I'm looking through the pictures. I'm like, this looks great. So I reached out to my realtor and I'm like, hey, I'm really interested in this property. And so she took a look at it and she was like, wow, I can't believe this is still available. Let's go take a look tomorrow. So she went in and did like a Facebook Live or a video FaceTime.
Yeah,
FaceTime video of just walking through it. And we looked through the property and it looked good. And so, she asked me, so what do you think? What do you want to do? And I think that was kind of like that moment where you kind of feel like you're jumping off a cliff, because I was like, okay, well, let me think about it and I'll call you back. But I didn't want to wait too long. So after I kind of thought about it, and I think I reached out to you and you looked at it, and that's kind of what I needed too, was like, I didn't fully trust myself to know, like, is this a good deal? Is this a good house? Is this, and I think, you looked at it, you looked at my numbers, you were like, this kind of checks all your boxes. I mean, what do you think? Do you think you can make an offer? And I'm like, okay, well, if Casey thinks it's, it's good, I can't be too off base. So, I put in an offer, and that moment was so terrifying to me. I think back now and I feel like that was probably the most scared I've been about anything in a long time. And so it became real at that point to get it under contract. And I'm like, oh my gosh, so that's, yeah. And then once we got through the inspection period, which was stressful, but made it through.
That's right. And so you used your HELOC to help you with your down payment.
Yes.
Which is cool. So a lot of people ask about that. I get a lot of messages on Instagram, a lot of new students, wondering where they can pull money from to borrow. And you used your HELOC. How is that working out for you right now?
Good. I mean, I had purchased my primary residence at the end of 2020. So it was, I was at a good point where, I mean, the appreciation of my house went up. So I looked into getting a HELOC. And once I secured the HELOC, I started looking at, okay, well, I've got some money saved, but not enough for, a down payment. So I used part of my HELOC to subsidize the down payment and then finance the rest. And then I'm just gonna working on paying that HELOC off as fast as I can so I can do it again.
I love it. So your cash flow on this property, why don't you tell everybody? Because everyone's like, what's the cash flow? Everybody always wants to know.
Right. So with expenses and everything, I'm looking at cash flow at around $350. So
that's freaking awesome.
Really excited about that.
That's
yeah.
Good. That is good. And what was your purchase price?
It was $175.
$175. All right. So everybody watching is $175 with a $350 cash flow. That is really good, Dominique. And it's in a nice area. The house is great. You didn't really have to do anything to it. So and I love the neighborhood. Like I told you earlier, my husband, Blake drove by a few weeks ago because he was in the area. I was like, take some pictures. But I love it. So what are your next steps? Now that you've got this property, you've got a tenant in place, I'm paying you $1,600 a month. So that's a great income. They have to have a great income to be able to afford 3 times the rent. which is nice. And like I always tell everybody, the higher the rent price, a better quality tenant you're more likely to get, because they have to have a better job, you know, and all of that. So pick my kids up from school reminder. But I'm not doing that today. So what are your next steps? What are you going to be looking for next?
So I really like the idea of multifamily. So I would love to find a duplex, or because I know some areas there aren't as many multifamily units. So if I can find even a single family house that maybe has like some sort of additional dwelling unit or a walkout basement or a detached garage conversion, something that I can like create a duplex out of and get some additional rent from, something like that would be ideal. So
that'd be awesome. Oh, I love that. No, I talked about that earlier too, but
yeah.
Okay, so you got your property, you went through the program. Would you recommend doing my coaching program to other people? People are right now watching, because they're likely watching because they want to know if they want to join my coaching program. They're like, who's this girl all about? What do her students think about her? Does she get results? You know, that's what I think everyone thinks. That's what I would wonder. So what would you say to that person who's kind of sitting on the fence thinking, I really want my first rental property. I'm not sure if I can do it by myself. Casey's program looks good. Is it worth the investment, or should I try it on my own? What would you say to them?
I definitely think there's value in doing research and learning on your own, but I think there's also value in going on this journey with somebody who's an expert in it and can be a guide to you, because there's so much to know. You'll never feel like you know enough to actually do anything. So I think for me, although I was a little hesitant at first, because I looked at it as, well, that's money that's coming out of what could potentially be my down payment. But if I never make a move, I'm never going to have a house to put a down payment on, because I'm never going to pull the trigger. And the minute I thought about that, and I was like, you know, get the guidance you need to feel confident enough to jump. And once you do that, then just go from there. So I think it was definitely worth every penny. I do not regret it at all. I would recommend the course to anybody who's really interested and they're committed to wanting to move forward on this journey, not just because, you know, you've heard about real estate and you're not sure if you're interested. If you know it's something you want to do, you want to invest your time in, you want to invest in yourself, you want to invest in your future, then yeah, it's an investment, and it's worth being able to have that person to give you the guidance that you need. Because I know I'm going to make mistakes, but I know that I could try to mitigate some of those mistakes by having someone look over my shoulder and be like, maybe you don't want to do that, or yeah, that's great, you know? So yeah, definitely worth it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Dominique. I appreciate you doing this for me so much. And, you know, it really helps everybody who's watching make good decisions, you know, to join my program. But thank you. I appreciate it. It's been great working with you. I know this isn't the end. So like I said, definitely, you know, continue to email me your updates. And if you have questions, I'll always answer. So thank you very much.
And thank you. And I know you took a lot of emails from me late at night sometimes, or even when you were on vacation. So just know that I'm really grateful for your level of commitment to your students. So thank you.